Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. My name is Denise Valdez, and I'll be your lovely host on Pack Your Bags, We're Leaving. We are expecting episodes full of stories, tips, and first-hand experiences that will help you prepare for your study abroad. For our passengers who just enjoy listening to stories of travel, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pack Your Bags, We're Leaving. Thank you so much for everybody who has listened to the other two episodes and decided to come back for this one. And for those of you who are new, my name is Denise, and in the spring of 2024, I studied abroad in South Korea. And on this podcast, I talk about my experience in a foreign country as well as why I decided to study abroad in the first place. So, my previous episodes were more centered on story time. However, I wanted to fully dedicate an episode to tips, recommendations, and things you might encounter in all of your steps of your study abroad experience. I'm super excited for this episode, and this is probably one of my favorites because I reached out to my friends that I met in South Korea and I asked for them to give you guys some tips and to talk a little bit about their experience on how they prepared to study abroad, what they brought with them, things that they regret, and tell a little bit more about their story. And I'm super excited for you guys to be able to listen to that. And hopefully, for those of you who are preparing to study abroad, these stories can help you feel less anxious or make you feel more excited for your trip. So, before you start packing that suitcase with clothes or items that you probably won't need, stick around for the entire episode so you don't make the same mistakes that we did. All right, so let's start with pre-departure. Before you get excited and think of all the countries that you want to go to, it's important to research what program your university offers or other programs through different organizations. For example, my school offered exchange programs, faculty and teacher-led courses, which is just for like a summer semester. Then there's also fellowships, group travel, internships, research. There are so many programs. And then there's also like the exchange programs offered. There's different categories within those. There's university partnerships, which the tuition that you're paying will be going to your home university rather than the host university you plan on going to. All right, the type of program that I did was a university partnership program. So I paid my tuition to my university, and the dorming or like the food and like the hospitality, all of that was paid to my host university. Then there are other organizations or third parties. There's ISEP, which has a network of over 300 colleges and universities and 50 countries that they work with. With this type of program, the students pay tuition to their home university, but then ISEP also offers ISEP direct programs, and these are like third-party provided programs, and the students pay the host university, and sometimes through this program, the scholarships that you have through your university can't apply to the program. And then there are a lot of organizations out there online that you can search for. Just make sure that they're real and trustworthy. My best suggestion would be to talk to someone. If there's a study abroad office or department at the university you attend, talk to them and they can help you out with any questions, any recommendations, or just to help you see what program best fits for you. Because every university is different, and depending on the year you're in or how many credits you need left to graduate, that's how they will lead you to a program that best fits your situation. So next, we'll be talking scholarships, and this is the most important one. At least for me, it was really important because one, we're college students. I don't think the majority of us, or I might be wrong, I don't think the majority of us have the money to be able to pay for a full trip to whatever country we want to go to. But if you are a student on scholarships, make sure to read through the scholarship website or like their guidelines to see if you can apply them to any study abroad programs. The scholarship that I have was able to cover my full tuition, and depending on if you receive financial aid like FAFSA, depending on the Pell Grant or if you're on student loans, just make sure to read through the website and see if they apply, or talk to your financial financial aid advisor. They will probably have better directions to lead you or know people that you should go speak with. And then with financial aid, depending on the program and the organization that you choose to do your study abroad with, that will also affect if financial aid is applicable to the program. There's a higher chance of the financial aid from FAFSA to apply to those programs if you're paying tuition to your home university. On the topic of scholarships, make sure to research, depending on the foreign university you plan to apply to, look through their scholarships and see if you can apply to any of them. For me, it was kind of last minute. I wasn't aware of this scholarship, but I believe it was like 2 weeks before we had to fly out. The coordinator of the international students, the one who was preparing us and giving us all of the emails and everything that we had to fill out, he sent out an email to us saying there is this scholarship. It's called GKS, which is Global Korean Scholarship. All you need to do is write an essay, a cover letter, and there was something else. I applied and I wasn't necessarily thinking that I would win the scholarship, but I just did it because, hey, there's no hurt in trying. So I sent it out and I ended up being one of the, I believe there was 4 or 5 people in total from the international students that semester who were going to Korea who received the award. And that scholarship saved my butt because I had saved enough money to be able to pay my flight to Korea and back, and then obviously other living necessities throughout my stay there. But the scholarship really helped me because my ticket to Korea and back, it was reimbursed in the equivalent of Korean won. So I was able to use that for paying food and other stuff. And then the scholarship also gave you a monthly stipend of an equivalent of $400. And that also helped out so much. It just took off so much weight off my shoulders. So please, wherever you're going, look through the university webpage, or it doesn't hurt to email the person in charge and see if there's any scholarships available to international students. Okay, next we'll be talking about required documents. Make sure that your passport is renewed and doesn't expire within the time frame that you'll be abroad. And then also make sure to ask for a record of your vaccines as well. Some documents that I brought with me abroad were a copy of my birth certificate and my social security card. I didn't have to use them, but I prefer to have a copy of them with me just in case if I run into a situation where I do need them, I have them there. Of course, bring your ID. Make sure to bring your bank card with your routing number and your account number because you might need that if you plan on opening a bank at the foreign country. So depending on the currency that is accepted in your host country, you might need to open up a bank account. I have a visa and I was able to use my card in Korea, but I would have like a tiny fee to pay. I was also able to withdraw money with my card, so that wasn't necessarily an issue, but I was required to open an account with the university's bank because I had to get my scholarship money deposited in there. Honestly, I just think it's better because once you open the bank account, you can send money to your friends or other people who have the bank account as well. For example, if you go out to eat and you're finding ways to divide the money, that way, if everybody has an account, it's just easy to transfer the money. All right, so then for insurance, some universities require you to get an insurance plan through your home university, or once you arrive to your host university, you'll have the option to sign up for the country's insurance. For me, it was a requirement to get insurance with my university and my host country university. All right, y'all. This is the most important part of the episode. So if you're having information overload or, you just need a break, pause the episode and take a break or grab a quick snack and then come back and be ready to take notes because this is where we get into the packing and things you should bring abroad. All right, so depending on the months that you'll be living and staying there, make sure to research the weather. TikTok and YouTube will be your best friends. I promise you'll find what you need there. When I left to Korea, it was still winter here, so I had to wear a winter coat. And luckily, it was also winter there, so I definitely used my coat. bring a lightweight jacket. Don't bring a heavy one because then it's just going to take up space in your luggage. You don't want to deal with that. Ooh, this is another good recommendation. I definitely researched the style that is typically worn among people my age in Korea because one, I didn't want to stand out. I mean, obviously I'm going to stand out because I'm Mexican American and I look different, but I didn't want to stand out through my clothing. So I tried to bring more neutral tone or pastel colors. I avoided bringing pieces of clothing with eye-catching designs because a lot of people don't wear crazy patterns there. Make sure that you bring clothes. For example, if the country's more conservative or isn't really used to seeing people like exposing their arms or, showing collarbones or something, make sure to research all of that as well. So you bring clothing that will make you feel comfortable. Just make sure to follow the customs of the culture. Like when you're not in your country, make sure to be polite and respectful of the country that you're going to stay in. So because I was going to experience the 3 seasons, I had to make sure that I brought the necessary clothes for the change in weather. I made a mistake of only bringing one pair of joggers, and what helped me was I brought leggings. So I would just layer leggings and my jeans on top, and rookie mistake. It's okay. But this is why I'm giving you my recommendations of researching before you pack your bags. So I had 4 pairs of jeans that I brought with me. And what I ended up doing was cutting them into shorts. Hey, you got to do what you got to do if one, you don't want to spend money on clothing, or this is another thing that's really important that you definitely have to research is the inclusivity of sizes. In South Korea, majority of the people are on the thinner side. You can see a couple of people who are like plus size, but the clothing sizes offered in their stores really reflect like the average weight of people in Korea. So it is more difficult to find bigger sizes. So that's one of the reasons why I just decided to cut my jeans into shorts. So also keep that in mind if you do go shopping. When packing outfits, I always try to include a formal outfit, a casual outfit, and then a going out, like a party outfit, I guess you could call it. Of course, if I went through every single thing that you need to pack, this podcast would be super long, but I'm just giving you more of an overview of the things that I took into consideration when I packed my bags. But something that I didn't think about were my shoes. I don't know why I brought 4 pairs and there was one pair that I barely even used and it just took up a lot of space in my bag. But based on the shoes that I did wear, I would say bring walking and comfy shoes. Formal shoes is up to you depending on like what you consider formal. A lot of my friends, I saw that they would have like leather boots. I brought loafers, and for colors, I'd say either black or white. Take that into consideration when you choose your shoes. Just remember the bag that you arrive with will get bigger with everything else that you buy. All right, so for this next segment, I reached out to my friends and asked them a couple questions, gave them a few that they could choose from that ask about the study abroad experience. So now we'll listen to a quick introduction of each individual and then head straight on to the questions.
Hi everyone, my name is Maudi and I come from the Netherlands. And the reason that you guys are hearing my voice is because Denise asked me to answer a couple of questions about studying abroad. And a little bit more about myself. As I mentioned, I'm from the Netherlands. Currently, I'm 20 years old. I'm turning 21 in 2 months. But at the time when I was studying abroad myself, I was 19. I am currently an educational major as well as a linguistic major because I am studying to become an English teacher. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. My name is Angel Reyes. I am currently 23 years old. And last semester, I got the opportunity of having an exchange program in South Korea. And I am currently studying international business at the University of Guadalajara in Mexico.
Hello, I am Samuel Villegas. I am both Spanish and Mexican, but since I've lived all my life in Mexico, I just say I'm Mexican because it's easier. I'm 22, I study engineering, and I'm an introvert.
What made you decide to study abroad?
For me, one of the biggest motivations has always been go beyond of my comfort zone because I knew that this experience of studying abroad will bring me different opportunities and different experiences that I probably had never experienced. So this helped me definitely to being exposed to different random situations, talking about the culture, the language, not only about Korean, but English as well. So in the educational system is something really different in comparison to what we have here in Mexico. So I already knew that this opportunity will give me different challenges that will help me in my personal, but also in my professional and educational development.
I'm going to say fear of missing out because I was thinking on my college experience, like, I have either the option to have like some sort of professional practice and get a job for 6 months and get the experience, or I can choose to go international as a student. And I said, like, I'm going to be working anyways after I graduate, so I might as well get the experience of being an international student, which is once in a lifetime.
So, actually, I have quite a lot of reasons why I decided to study abroad. First, and the main one is that I am really interested in languages and different cultures. I speak Dutch, obviously. I speak English, well, at C2 level as well. I speak German. And before I went abroad, I actually started studying Korean because, well, I was going abroad to Korea. And since languages interest me so much, cultures do as well, because most of the time it's a package deal, right?
Was there a particular moment where you experienced culture shock?
Being able to explore the city and travel between cities was amazing. Public transport was great. I loved it. One of my favorite parts of being in Korea because, for example, here in my city, Monterrey, Mexico, in the summer it gets to 95 Fahrenheit from you, my American friends, and it's awful to even go outside and walk. The Korean weather was nice. The infrastructure for just going out and take a walk, amazing. Here sometimes you don't even have a sidewalk. And again, public transport, the subway, the buses, everything was amazing, really easy and simple to use.
I definitely had some moments where I had that. The first thing was when I was studying, like in the first few weeks of school, of uni, I mean. I had a few classes, and immediately something that struck me was the difference in like education. Because back home for me in the Netherlands, like during the lectures, even the interaction with your professor or teacher is really important. Like we do everything together. The professor explains something, they ask for the students' input, we discuss it together. And in that way, the lecture is always very interactive and work really gets done together. Whereas in South Korea, when I was attending lectures, they were just sitting down and listening for 2 or sometimes even 3 hours straight without all too much interaction, which was actually quite weird for me. Maybe this is something really small, but you basically get culture shock even for the smallest things. For instance, I was not able to flush the toilet paper. That was weird to me, really. Same as there were barely any bins outside. You had to take your trash home, or you had to ask in a store if you could throw it away. Another thing was that people do not hold the door open for you. That's also something really small, but in my culture, it's really common to do so. Whereas in Korea, it wasn't.
What is something you wish you had brought with you while studying in South Korea?
For me, I would say that I would have brought with me in South Korea more souvenirs, candies, or delicacies from my country because luckily I got the opportunity to bring with me some of them, but they weren't enough to show them how the Mexican culture is and explaining them more about the different traditions that we have in Mexico because obviously they know about the basics in South Korea and they are really interested about the Mexican culture, but there's still more things to show them and to explain to them about the Mexican culture. So for me, it's really important to show them how the pure Mexican culture is and how we have different representations about the culture. And it's not just about sombreros or about tacos or just about tequila, but we have different things from different states in Mexico. So that's why it would have been more interesting for me and also for the people in South Korea to know more about the different things that we have to offer to the world.
What I wish I had taken with me, at least for the first couple of days to a week while I was in Korea, was basic hygiene things. I don't know why I expected, for example, towel, shampoo, razors, soap, even toilet paper. I don't know why I expected them to be like in my dorm just existing. I had to go buy them the second day that I was in Korea because I, of course, needed them.
What is something that you packed that you barely used or did not even use at all?
I am a very big reader. I love to read. In 2023, I read approximately like 40 books. When I came to Korea, I obviously brought a few books. I'd say like 7 or 8. I didn't read more than 20 pages. So the books that I brought were unnecessary. And for those who want to, well, obviously study abroad as well, if you feel like you're not gonna have enough entertainment for yourself, you will. You definitely will. And also, I brought way too many clothes. Since Korea has such a less expensive way of living, clothes were also way cheaper than back home. So I'd say I quite overpacked my clothes, and I actually had to, well, not throw away, I donated them, but I donated a few of my clothes so I could take back the clothes I bought in Korea.
I took with me a pair of combat slash heavy duty black boots. Honestly, I can't tell you what I was thinking. I don't even use them in my house or in my city. I took them with me, used them like 3 times simply for outfit purposes, like looking nice, and that was it.
Looking back, what do you wish you had known before flying to South Korea?
I think the language, because again, I already had a bit of knowledge on the culture, but the language, I didn't know anything. And I think it would have been easier to exist and experience Korean culture if I had known the language or if I could at least read. Because if you're going to a country like Korea, Japan, or China, or Russia and Ukraine that have completely different alphabet, take the time to learn them before you go so that even if you don't understand what you're reading, so that you can at least read, it's going to make learning the language very easy. Also, the piece of advice that I would tell someone that's preparing to study abroad or travel internationally, learn the language.
What is one piece of advice that you would tell someone who is preparing to study abroad or travel internationally?
Okay, definitely there are a lot of advices that people can give to another person if they are having an exchange program abroad, but that depends of the country that you want to travel or you want to discover. But for me, something that we can use as a general advice, if we can call it like that, is that you need to be open-minded, because definitely you are going to experience different things that you have never experienced. So it is always really important to be aware about the different situations that you can face during your exchange program, but also to understand the situation and to have an open mind that will definitely help you go ahead, to go beyond of your expectations, and will give you the opportunity to go beyond of your comfort zone.
A piece of advice I would like to give people who are still considering whether they want to study abroad is put yourself out there, really. I have not always been a very sociable person. I was actually rather introverted. And when I arrived to Korea, I met Denise actually in a taxi to the dorm. That was our first encounter. And that was at 11 p.m. during the night. I had a full day of traveling. I think I was awake for 24 hours. But I was like, okay, this is your chance to already get to know people. Put yourself out there, strike up conversation, even if it's just small talk. The rest will come later, and just be yourself. That is really important. And something which is also important is to take some rest as well. When you're studying abroad, obviously you're gonna experience new things, you're gonna experience culture shock, you're gonna be busy all the damn time, and therefore you should also look after yourself, both physically and mentally, really.
All right. Now, what was the most rewarding part of your study abroad experience?
For me, the most rewarding part of my exchange program was at the end, because I could really identify all the things that I had done in order to achieve what I wanted. And this definitely helped me to really notice how capable enough I am, and how, even though I struggled with different things during the exchange program or even before the exchange program, I could face them and I could overcome all the things that probably were a barrier for me. And now that helped me to notice how I can do different things. If I have a dream, if I have a goal in my life, I can go through it and I can achieve whatever whatever I want and whatever I have as a purpose in my life?
I think, well, I don't think, I know for a fact it was the friends, both the Korean friends and the international friends. And well, the reasoning behind is that Korean friends, they helped me adapt and understand the culture more than I already did. And they helped me to feel welcome in Korea. And also the international friends, just having someone else that's also experiencing things for the first time and having someone else to share the experience with you boosts the experience. Because yes, I can tell you like, oh, I went to Seoul, I went to Busan, I went to Gyeongju, I ate tteokbokki and I went clubbing and drinking and all that. I could do that by myself and it would be fun. I'm not saying it won't be fun, but sharing the experience with a friend, it's just 100 times better.
If you have made it to the end of this episode, you rock and you are awesome. And special shout out to Mauri, Angel, and Samuel, who took time out of their day to answer these questions for you guys. Everyone had amazing answers that I hope are very helpful to you listeners, whether you are planning to study abroad or just planning on going on a trip. I hope you are able to use the tips and recommendations that we gave throughout this episode. And I can't wait to hear about your amazing studying abroad experience. Thank you so much. Stay awesome and kind. Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the end of this episode. Tune in for future episodes full of crazy stories, tips, and special guests. Thank you for choosing Pack Your Bags We're Leaving for your travel stories and tips.